Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Aniti Patrick. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now the news and details. President Bola Tinubu has earmarked 5.41 trillion naira for security, the single largest allocation in the proposed 2026 budget. Tinubu disclosed this while presenting the 58.18 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill to a joint session of the National Assembly, where he said national security remains the foundation of economic growth, investments, and social stability. It marks the third consecutive year that defense and security spending have taken priority since the administration began presenting national budgets in November of 2023. Uyi Agumofegbe presents a summary of the proposed spending.
Under the proposal, defense and security will receive the lion's share ahead of infrastructure, education, and health, reaffirming a pattern established in the 2024 and 2025 budget cycles, where security consistently attracted the highest sectoral funding amid persistent threats from terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping.
National security remains the foundation of development. The 2026 budget strengthens support for modernization of armed forces, intelligence-driven pricing and joint operations, border security, and technology-enabled surveillance and community-based peace-building and conflict prevention.
Beyond security, the 2026 budget also proposes 3.56 trillion naira for infrastructure, 3.52 trillion naira for education, and
without security, investment will not thrive. Without education and healthy citizens, productivity will not rise. Without infrastructure, jobs and enterprises will not scale. This budget is therefore designed to provide a single coherent program of national renewal, a national security and peace building.
On his part, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, noted that the 2026 appropriation bill is more than the compilation of figures.
The 2026 appropriation bill you are about to present before us is therefore far more than a compilation of figures. It is, for us, a statement of intent, a reflection of priorities, a record of difficult choices, and a roadmap for the next phase of Nigeria's national renewal.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, said while the economy has shown signs of recovery and stability in 2025, volatility in global oil markets and optimistic fiscal assumptions had exposed the risks of over-reliance on crude oil revenues, making realism and discipline imperative in the 2026 budget framework.
If 2025 was a year of adjustment and learning, 2026 must be a year of fulfillment. Growth must increasingly translate into jobs, higher incomes, and expanded opportunities.
As earlier, the Federal Executive Council had approved the 2026 budget framework at an emergency meeting presided over for the first time by Vice President Kashim Shettima. Uyi Agumofegbe reporting for Global TV News.
The House of Representatives has wrapped up deliberations on proposed amendments to Nigeria's Electoral Act, a key legislative step ahead of the 2027 general elections. The changes, debated clause by clause, are aimed at strengthening the electoral process, tightening accountability, and closing gaps identified during previous polls. National Assembly correspondent tells us more. The House resumed consideration of the report of its Committee on Electoral Matters on a bill to amend the 2022 Electoral Act, with lawmakers scrutinizing each provision and proposing amendments or repeals where necessary. Several clauses triggered intense debate on the floor of the House. A major resolution centered on Section 51, Subsection 2 of the Act, which deals with overvoting, while the committee had proposed the outright cancellation of votes in polling units where overvoting occurs. Lawmakers rejected the recommendation. Instead, the House resolved that where overvoting is established, the presiding officer shall deduct the excess votes proportionately from the votes of all participating political parties. The House also agreed that any presiding officer found to be involved in overvoting will be liable to prosecution.
The officers at that polling unit where this overvoting takes place should be prosecuted.
Proportionately. He would deduct the vote proportionately across the political parties.
If there is overvoting, cancel that unit and go back to election.
At the committee level,
You
there was no
merit
merit to it at the committee level. Likewise, many other bills too.
Well, okay.
Lawmakers also engaged in extensive deliberations on provisions aimed at curbing the practice of aspirants submitting their names to more than one political party for elections, a move seen as critical to strengthening internal party discipline and electoral integrity.
Members that are of dual political parties should not be allowed to vote. So I think the amendment you make, I think, is more proper.
Can a member exercise his right of association in this multiple form? Or should he accept one and stay with that? That's the question.
Speaking after plenary, the chairman of the House Committee on Electoral Matters, Adebayo Balogun, described Nigeria's Electoral Act as one of the most progressive electoral laws in the country's history. He said the proposed amendments are intended to consolidate the gains of the existing law, address identified loopholes, and improve implementation, while preserving the overall stability of the electoral framework.
Okay, not everyone that passed through secondary made it to the report.
Not everyone made it
because
back.
during public hearing and all that, some were dropped.
Yes.
With the House concluding its work on the amendments, attention now shifts to the remaining legislative process as lawmakers insist the reforms will help deliver a more credible, transparent, and accountable electoral process ahead of the 2027 polls. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has played host to representatives of the two factions of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, at its headquarters in Abuja. The meeting comes in the wake of several conflicting correspondences received by the Commission from the party. Our correspondent, Sadia Yakubu, was there for Global Television.
The Independent National Electoral Commission Chairman, Professor Amupita Josh, stated that the purpose of the meeting was to bring all factions of the People's Democratic Party together to address their concerns regarding the upcoming elections and to ensure the party's activities align with the Electoral Act and the Nigerian Constitution. He emphasized that INEC is guided by constitutional provisions, the Electoral Act 2022, and the regulations set by the Commission to maintain the integrity of the electoral process.
So we are determined to ensure that we follow the provisions of the various laws, constitution, and the regulations that we have made.
Senator Sam Anyanwu, speaking on behalf of a faction of the People's Democratic Party, acknowledged the dispute surrounding the conflicting correspondence. He explained that the root cause of the issue lies in grievances, aggression, and ego within the party. Despite these challenges, he reaffirmed the People's Democratic Party's commitment to the rule of law and adherence to electoral guidance.
Since we have a cabinet committee appointed by the neck and beauty of our party, so we want them to come back. Let us, the constellation means let's come back.
The other factional chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Tanimu Turaki, spoke about the ongoing issues within the party, while acknowledging that some matters are still before the Court of Appeal. He stressed that INEC cannot replace the role of the judiciary. He, however, assured that the People's Democratic Party factions are committed to resolving their differences through dialogue with INEC and are hopeful that the Commission will respond to their concerns. Turaki also took the opportunity to reassure Nigerians that the PDP would continue to fulfill its role as a primary opposition party holding the ruling APC government accountable on matters such as security, infrastructure decay, and social justice.
From our own perspective, to assist INEC as a regulator to do an election that Nigerians will held certainly will do so. More so when now we are aware that indeed our party members are beginning to rise to the challenge of opposition.
Tenimu Turaki-san. Looking ahead, INEC has set a timetable for upcoming elections. The Federal Capital Territory elections are scheduled for February 21st, 2026, followed by the Ekiti and Osun State elections later in the year. INEC has issued a comprehensive schedule of activities to all political parties to ensure smooth election processes in these regions. Dia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News.
Away from that, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command says it has recorded significant breakthroughs in the fight against crime, arresting over 160 suspects and rescuing dozens of victims between October and December 2025. The Commissioner of Police, FCT Command Mila Dantiwaye, disclosed this while briefing journalists at the command headquarters in Abuja. Kike Lomo Okere has the details.
According to the police commissioner, the command carried out comprehensive security assessments across 6 area councils of the Federal Capital Territory following his assumption of office in October 2025. The assessment identified key security concerns, including kidnapping, armed robbery, so-called one-chance robberies, car theft, drug-related offenses, and other violent crimes. CP Dantawaye explained that, in line with the directive of the Inspector General of Police, Olukayode Adeolu Egbetokun, the command adopted an intelligence-driven policing strategy, combining crime analysis, hotspot mapping, community engagement, and interagency collaboration.
We adopted focused intelligence-driven operational approach, anchored on crime analysis, hotspot mapping, collaboration with sister agencies, and continuous operational evaluation to guide deployments and tactical responses.
Breaking down the figures, the Commissioner of Police says 7 kidnap cases were recorded, leading to arrest of 41 suspects and the disruption of several kidnapping gangs operating within and around the FCT, and 38 suspects arrested, while 26 cases of one-chance robbery led to the arrest of 12 suspects. On rescues, CP Dantawaye says 24 kidnapped victims, including women and children, were safely rescued from criminal hideouts, while 8 others victims of violent crimes were recovered through swift police intervention.
Police Command recorded notable operational successes across multiple crime fronts, particularly in anti-kidnapping operations, armed robbery suppression, arrest of violent offenders, rescue of victims, and recovery of arms, ammunition, vehicles, cash, and other criminal exhibits.
The police commissioner added that 96 suspects were discharged to court during the period under review, with 60 convictions already secured, while other cases remain under prosecution. It further reveals that significant recoveries were made, including rifles, shotgun, locally made firearms, live ammunition, illicit drugs, stolen vehicles, counterfeit items, and over 15 million naira in cash believed to be proceeds of crime. The Commissioner of Police assured residents that the FCT Command will continue to strengthen intelligence-led policing, deepen community engagement, and sustain joint operations to address emerging security threats. Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NATCOM, has dismissed reports suggesting it sought or obtained approval to roll over contracts of 2025 Hajj service providers for the 2026 Hajj exercise, describing such claims as false and misleading. A statement issued by the Commission said it did not at any time request a rollover of contracts from the Bureau of Public Procurement, contrary to insinuations in some quarters. Clarifying the issue, NACON said its decision not to open a fresh bidding process for certain 2026 Hajj services was informed by the emergency nature of Hajj operations, existing BPP advertisement rules, and the extremely tight timelines issued by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for all participating countries. You're watching the live broadcast of AM News. When AM News returns, European Union agrees 90 billion euros for Ukraine without Russian assets. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just tune in, this is AM News on Global Television. In business, the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission says it is committed to boosting investments across priority sectors and implementing the new Economic Development Incentive Framework in 2026. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Aisha Rimi, made the disclosure while addressing journalists in Abuja. Business correspondent Kike Lomo Okere has the details.
The Executive Secretary, Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, Aisha Rimi, who was represented by the Director of Strategic Services, Abubakar Yerima, while reviewing the Commission's 2025 performance, reported steady growth in capital importation and investment facilitation.
Key digital tools required. The overall impact is that in 2025, the interventions of the department significantly strengthened NIPC's institutional effectiveness, strategic coherence, and national relevance.
He emphasized the important role of the media in shaping Nigeria's economic image and building investors' confidence. Official says accurate reporting promotes transparency and positions the media as a key partner in telling Nigeria's investment story.
Overall, the department's intervention reinforced NIPC's role as a strategic national institution and strengthened Nigeria's capacity to attract, manage, and patronize quality investments that support sustainable economic growth.
The Commission thanked the media for its partnership in promoting Nigerian investment potential and reaffirmed its commitment to enhancing investors' support, digital service, and creating a more competitive business environment. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Women drawn from the 23 local government areas of Benue State have received 500,000 naira each in financial support under the Redeeming Project 774 Explode initiative. The empowerment scheme pledged by Governor Hyacinth Alia is aimed at strengthening women's participation in Nigeria's small business sector, with plans for major expansion in 2026. Global Television correspondent Felicity Ndere has the details.
The program is designed to strengthen women's participation in politics and business, formalize women-owned enterprises, expand access to funding, and improved support for small businesses, with the Makurdi distribution exercise bringing together beneficiaries from all 23 local government areas of the state. At the event, the Benue State Governor, Hyacinth Alia, fulfilled his pledge, with each beneficiary receiving 500,000 naira as start-up capital to support their business ventures.
Our voices have been silent, and who is going to represent us more than women themselves?
Speaking on behalf of the governor, the Special Advisor on Women Affairs, Scholastica Benso, said the Project 77 Explode initiative, themed Enhancing Gender Space in Politics, aims to amplify women's voices in governance while promoting economic empowerment.
It's about bringing the visibility and inclusivity of women in politics, in the space of government, the key offices who want to have a representation. So this program is to give us that opening to be able to amplify our voices. And on that day, the governor pledged to give the beneficiaries across the 23 local government in Benue State 500,000 naira each, and also sponsor a skill for them. They should not just be dependent of office jobs.
Beneficiaries commended the initiative, describing it as a clear demonstration of the governor's commitment to inclusive development and social support across all levels.
I am using this money to start up a business, and I will invite those that are willing to come and see what the governor has imparted in me.
It will encourage me to boost my business. Even my farm input, I will buy and apply fertilizers and other things.
Our governor has kept his promise he made to us on the day we were inaugurated. I want to use this medium to also employ more.
Project 774 Connectivity, a federal government initiative championed by the national woman leader of the All Progressive Congress, APC, to strengthen local government and promote skills nationwide, is driving growth in Benue State's small businesses, with beneficiaries highlighting the impact of increased funding and supportive policies. In Makudi, Felicity Ndere reporting for Global Television News.
And on the foreign scene, European Union leaders have struck a deal to provide Ukraine a loan of 90 billion euros to plug its looming budget shortfalls. The bloc, however, failed to agree on using frozen Russian assets to come up with the funds. The middle of the night agreements reached at summit talks in Brussels offers Kiev a desperately needed lifeline as U.S. President Donald Trump pushes for a quick deal to end Russia's nearly 4-year war. Zarau Nasiru has the details.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Ukraine will only need to pay back the loan once Moscow pays compensation for the damages it has done.
We have to find a solution today. The President of the Council said, and I support him in that, we will not leave the European Council without a solution for the funding for Ukraine for the next 2 years. And the two options, one of them then has to be agreed in the
European Council head Antonio Costa, who chaired the summit, stated that the decision will provide Ukraine with the necessary means to defend itself and support its people.
In October, we decided that the European Union would cover Ukraine's pressing financial needs for 2026 and 2027. Last week, we decided that Russia would not get its assets back until Moscow ends its aggression. Today, we approved a decision to provide 90 billion euros to Ukraine for the next 2 years.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had said on X that the deal is significant support that truly strengthens Ukraine's resilience, noting that it is important that Russian assets remain immobilized and that Ukraine has received a financial security guarantee for the coming years. Zahra Nasr reporting for Global TV News.
And in sports, the Nigerian sports sector has received a major boost as 412 coaches were formally inducted into the system. This followed their successful completion of professional training at the Nigeria Institute of Sports, marking a significant step towards strengthening grassroots and elite sports developments across the country. Sports correspondent Samuel Odi completes the story.
Stakeholders from across the sports ecosystem celebrated months of intensive training aimed at equipping the coaches with modern techniques, ethics, and global best practice in sports development. Speaking at the event, the Director General of Nigerian Institute of Sport described the graduation as a strategic investment in Nigeria's sporting future, noting that the newly trained coaches will play a critical role in talent discovery, athlete welfare, and international competitiveness. In a strong and notable remark, the Director General urged Senate to probe former ministers of sports over allocated funds to National Institute of Sports during their respective administrations. He stressed that poor accountability and transparency in the use of public funds are essential to repositioning the institute and restoring the capacity to deliver world-class training.
I want to call on the National Assembly again to call back all former ministers of sports to come and account for their role in destroying NIS to the level the president has to appoint me to bring NIS back to life.
In a goodwill message, Secretary General of Nigerian Football Federation, Sanusi Mohammed, commended the institute for its consistency in capacity building and emphasized that qualified coaches remain the backbone of sustainable football and sport development in Nigeria.
To make sure that the knowledge you gain is not wasted. We have a program with FIFA that is on talent development. The focus is on grassroots. The focus is on discovery of talent. And it is you, people, that are supposed to be doing that.
Chairman House Committee on Sport, Kabir Amadou, whose message was delivered by his clerk, reaffirmed the National Assembly's commitment to legislative oversight, improved funding and policies that will strengthen sports institutions and empower professionals within the sector.
This has contributed to improve athlete welfare, better performance, and gradual shift towards professionalism across sport disciplines. Beyond training, the National Institute of Sport play a crucial role in making sport a viable profession in Nigeria.
As the newly inducted coaches prepare to take up assignments across the country, stakeholders expressed optimism that the ceremony marked not just a graduation but a renewed push for accountability, professionalism, and long-term growth in Nigerian sports ecosystem. Samuel Odi for Global Television News.
And that's it on AM News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Aniti Patrick. Thank you for watching.